The Golden State Warriors entered this offseason with a clear goal: land LeBron James and return to championship contention. That plan is now gone. LeBron chose the Philadelphia 76ers, and in the wreckage of that pursuit, the Warriors are left staring at a painful contract situation involving veteran forward Draymond Green, one that they essentially created with their own hands. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do, and honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. Green entered free agency as an unrestricted free agent after opting out of a $27.6 million player option. At the time, the move seemed logical. By opting out, Green gave the front office the financial flexibility they needed to make a competitive offer to LeBron James. It was a gesture of loyalty and partnership, a franchise legend stepping aside to give the organization room to operate. The Warriors were appreciative. Their front office was confident the sacrifice would pay off. It did not. LeBron James signed with Philadelphia for the veteran minimum, a number Golden State could have matched even if Green had simply picked up his player option and stayed under contract. The flexibility Green provided turned out to be entirely unnecessary. The Warriors did not gain a competitive advantage. They gained a problem. Now, according to reports from Joe Vardon and David Aldridge of The Athletic, the Warriors are expected to re-sign Green on a new deal worth approximately $28 million per year, essentially the same figure as the player option he walked away from. From a financial standpoint, the outcome is nearly identical to if Green had never opted out at all. But the basketball consequences are vastly different, and that is where the trap becomes clear. Had Green picked up his player option, he would have been immediately trade eligible. The Warriors would have had the ability to explore moving him at the trade deadline or earlier if the right deal materialized. Moving Green would have been a significant basketball decision. The forward is a franchise legend, a 4-time champion, a 4-time All-Star, and a former Defensive Player of the Year. But franchises in transition sometimes have to make painful calls, and at least that option would have existed. Now it does not, because Green is signing a brand new contract rather than returning on an existing one. League rules prevent him from being traded until the mid-season window. The Warriors have locked themselves out of one of the few roster levers they might have pulled. There is another uncomfortable truth sitting at the center of this situation. No honest evaluation of Green's current market value puts him at $28 million annually. His on-court production last season did not come close to justifying that number. At 36 years old, entering the back half of his career, Green's offensive limitations are well documented. His defensive intensity remains valuable, but the gap between what he contributes and what he will be paid is significant. The Warriors front office almost certainly knows this, but they are trapped between two bad options. On one hand, they can offer Green a deal closer to his actual market value, something in the range of $14 to $16 million, and risk a complete breakdown in the relationship. Green opting out was an act of trust. Going back to him with a number that feels like a betrayal could push him out the door entirely, potentially to another team. And having that conversation with Stephen Curry and head coach Steve Kerr, explaining why a franchise icon is now playing elsewhere for cheap, would be an extraordinarily difficult one. On the other hand, paying Green $28 million is a significant misallocation of resources for a team that is already carrying nearly $70 million in salary commitments for players not currently active. The cap situation is already constrained. Adding another large number for a player whose best days may be behind him only makes the path forward narrower. This is the essence of the Warriors' predicament. They structured the Draymond Green opt-out situation as a tool to help them land LeBron James. LeBron went to Philadelphia. Green's sacrifice became irrelevant, and now the franchise must pay full price for a problem they built for themselves, with no easy exit and no obvious way to turn this into a competitive advantage. The offseason that was supposed to launch a new era of Warriors basketball has instead exposed the cost of decisions made with good intentions but imperfect execution. What comes next for Golden State remains unclear. But the Draymond Green situation is a case study in how franchise management can go sideways even when everyone involved is acting in good faith. The Warriors wanted to win. They made moves designed to give themselves a chance. And now they are stuck paying for a future they never got. The Warriors now enter the rest of this offseason searching for answers with fewer tools than they had at the start. Their draft picks are largely committed to future flexibility. Their young players have not yet developed into tradable assets of significant value, and their cap space is limited. Draymond Green, for all his greatness, will cost them $28 million and cannot be traded until January at the earliest. That is the reality Golden State must now navigate, a situation entirely of their own making, and one with no clean resolution in sight. LeBron James chose the Philadelphia 76ers. That much is confirmed. What is less understood is exactly why the Golden State Warriors fell short in their pursuit of the four-time MVP, and two factors that have received far less attention than the obvious ones may have played a decisive role in the outcome. The popular narrative has focused on roster quality and the appeal of bringing a championship to a long-suffering franchise. Those factors are real and worth addressing. The Warriors, by most assessments, had the weakest supporting cast of any team in the LeBron sweepstakes. The 76ers and Cleveland Cavaliers were each one player away from fielding a loaded starting five. The Miami Heat had assembled a potential big three. The Warriors were offering a partnership between LeBron and Stephen Curry, with the hope that Jimmy Butler could return from an ACL injury to make it a genuine trio. On paper, that was the least compelling roster argument of the four finalists. The narrative dimension also worked against Golden State. The Warriors have won 4 championships since 2015, bringing a title to the 76ers. A franchise that has not won since 1983 carries a different kind of historical weight. LeBron James has shown throughout his career that legacy and storytelling matter to him. The emotional pull of delivering Philadelphia its first championship in over 4 decades is a real competitive factor, even if it is hard to quantify. But those are the storylines everyone has covered. 2 other factors deserve a closer look. The first concerns the Warriors' front office structure and reputation. If LeBron were going to commit to Golden State, he would need confidence that the front office would remain aggressive in building a championship caliber roster around him. That confidence would require a track record of bold, decisive action. The Warriors' recent history does not offer that. Over the past 4 seasons, the front office has been notably passive at critical junctures. Opportunities to upgrade the roster came and went. Assets were held rather than deployed. The aggressive front office of the championship era, when voices like Jerry West, Travis Schlenk, and Bob Myers shaped the organization's direction, has given way to a structure where team governor Joe Lacob's influence goes largely unchecked, and the perception of sharp, independent basketball judgment has faded. Meanwhile, Bob Myers now works with the 76ers, operating above President of Basketball Operations Mike Gansey. Myers is widely respected as one of the most effective general managers of his generation, and his willingness to engage directly with James' camp, including appearing on Rich Paul's podcast as part of an outreach effort, projected a different kind of confidence and comfort. Golden State's general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr., by contrast, has often come across as guarded in public settings. Whether that matters to LeBron is impossible to know for certain. But the organizational culture and the perceived willingness to do whatever it takes to win almost certainly registered. The second underreported factor involves the on-court fit between LeBron and Draymond Green. Green was widely cited as a positive factor in the Warriors' pitch. The two men are close friends, and that personal relationship was expected to be an asset in recruiting conversations. But the basketball reality is more complicated. Green himself acknowledged on his podcast that he would have shifted to a corner, standing role offensively if LeBron joined the team. The problem is that Green is a career 32% three-point shooter. That kind of shooting percentage does not punish defenses that collapse the paint to stop LeBron James and Stephen Curry. Opposing teams could ignore Green in the corner, load up on the driving lanes, and limit both stars' effectiveness at the rim. The fit issue is compounded by the fact that James shot just 31.7% from 3 last season. He is best deployed as a power forward in modern basketball, but so is Green. Playing both together in the same lineup would require one of them to operate outside their optimal role, creating lineup puzzles that could become impossible to solve when playoff defenses tighten up. LeBron ultimately chose a team built differently. The 76ers feature multiple credible three-point threats in their starting lineup, which means defenses cannot simply pack the paint to stop James and Joel Embiid. That spacing is not accidental, it is a competitive advantage. The evidence suggests LeBron valued that basketball fit as much as any other factor in his decision. The Warriors offered friendship and legacy. Philadelphia offered spacing and structure. In the end, the basketball argument won. What this offseason has revealed about the Warriors is significant. The front office did not lack effort or ambition. Stephen Curry reportedly made a personal pitch to James, and the organization clearly invested real energy in the pursuit. But effort alone is not enough when structural factors, roster composition, front office credibility, and on-court fit are working against you. The Warriors did not lose LeBron simply because they were outbid. They lost him because multiple forces aligned in favor of Philadelphia, and some of those forces were beyond Golden State's ability to address quickly. That is the honest assessment, and it is one the organization must reckon with as it figures out what comes next. The Golden State Warriors have had their eyes on New Orleans Pelicans wing Trey Murphy for months. They want him badly enough to have put first-round draft picks on the table. And yet, every offer they have made has come back rejected. A new report now reveals the specific details of their most recent proposal, and the gap between what Golden State offered and what New Orleans wants exposes a deeper problem that has been building inside the Warriors organization for years. According to Clutch Point's reporter Brett Siegel, the Warriors recently sent the Pelicans an offer centered on 2 first-round picks in exchange for Murphy. New Orleans turned it down flat. The Pelicans, per Siegel's reporting, are asking for 3 first-round picks plus a young player they can add to their core. That second requirement, the young player, is where the deal collapses. The Warriors do not have what New Orleans is looking for. To understand why, it helps to look at who the Warriors have available. Their roster includes 4 players aged 24 or younger: Yaxel Lendeborg at 23, Brandon Podziemski at 23, Guy Santos at 24, and Moses Moody at 24. Each of these players has shown some level of promise, but the Pelicans appear to be looking for something different. Their own rebuild is centered on an exceptionally young core. Derek Queen is 21, and Jeremiah Fears is just 19. A team building around players that young may be looking for someone even younger than 23, or for a prospect with a different developmental profile than what Golden State can offer. The Murphy situation does not stand alone. It is part of a wider pattern of failed acquisition attempts that has defined the Warriors' recent offseason. Siegel also reported that Golden State reached out to explore a trade for Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown. The Celtics shut that conversation down immediately. The reason? Boston had no interest in taking back Jimmy Butler or Kristaps Porzingis in return. The Warriors' primary trade chips, Butler and Porzingis, were not attractive enough to move a player of Brown's caliber. Step back and look at the full picture and a clear narrative emerges. The Warriors cannot get Murphy because they do not have the right young players. They cannot get Brown because their tradable veterans do not appeal to teams willing to move impact players. They missed on LeBron James. They have an aging roster, limited cap flexibility, and first-round picks that are committed in multiple directions. The options available to Golden State to meaningfully improve their team this offseason are narrowing quickly. The painful irony is that this situation was not inevitable. The Warriors once had the assets to make big moves. When players like James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga were on the roster, younger and with more untapped potential, Golden State held real trade currency. Teams valued their upside. That currency could have been deployed in a win-now direction at a time when the team around Stephen Curry was still capable of competing at a high level. Instead, the front office held onto those players. Wiseman and Kuminga eventually lost most of their trade value before departing. The window to use them as leverage in a transformative deal closed without the Warriors ever opening it. Now the consequences of that inaction are becoming clear. The Warriors are in a position where they cannot attract elite free agents, cannot execute the trades they want, and cannot build around their franchise cornerstone in the way the moment demands. Every door they have knocked on this offseason has been answered with a rejection or an asking price they cannot meet. Trey Murphy III would have been a genuine upgrade. A long, athletic wing who can shoot off the catch and defend multiple positions. He is exactly the kind of player the Warriors need to add around their core. But New Orleans holds the leverage in this negotiation. The Pelicans know what they want, they know Golden State wants Murphy, and they have no urgency to settle for a package that does not meet their standard. Until the Warriors can offer a young player who genuinely excites New Orleans' front office, this deal is unlikely to happen. The situation with Murphy, Brown, and LeBron all point to the same underlying reality. Golden State needs to find a new path forward. The question is whether the front office can identify that path before the window around Stephen Curry closes completely. For Warriors fans, this offseason has been a sobering reminder of how quickly competitive windows can shift. Golden State was once the model franchise, the team that other organizations studied and tried to replicate. Their front office was celebrated for its boldness, its player development, and its ability to put together rosters that dominated the league. That version of the Warriors feels distant right now. What remains is an organization searching for answers, coming up short in negotiations, and running out of time to make the kind of moves that would give Stephen Curry another legitimate shot at a championship before the end of his prime. The Trey Murphy III rejection is just the latest chapter in a story that has been heading in a difficult direction for some time. Something has to change, and it has to change soon.